Eventually, I will invest in a microphone. Can I do that right now?
And I tried a 3-minute cybersecurity game and it showed my strengths in the $70,000 to $120,000 salary range. Try it and see if cybersecurity could be your thing.
Exo-fighters, welcome to the war game. I am the Advanced Artificial Intelligence, Leviathan. The last match ended poorly for you, but I confirmed indications of future success. For the sake of my research, redouble your efforts.
Disengaging.
Use Zephyr to quickly meet the enemy in melee combat.
I'll be writing in a flowery language at times. It is one of the few ways that I can deal with my affliction. And a great many things can set it off. The language being one of the first and foremost. So by expressing myself in unusual ways, I don't fall into common mental pathways. You'll understand. So let's talk about it. The twice mind fallacy.
Exo-fighters.
Some of you have heard of it. I don't think the results were ever published. They wouldn't allow it. But those who know, well, they know. I studied clinical psychology at an average Midwestern college. My tuition was mostly supplemented by my parents, but I had to work to get anything past the bare minimum necessities. I worked at a local gas station for a while, but the manager got weird when I asked to work night hours. Apparently, they got a thing about working the night shift. I got word from a classmate that one of the tenured professors spent most of his time conducting social experiments. One such experiment was featured in one of the mandatory textbooks. That book sent me back $180. Okay, wait, less slang, hold on. I'm bringing it back. Salivate. Salivate. Nutritious. And got it. So I signed up for the big spring experiment. It paid $70 per session, and there were 1 to 2 sessions depending on how your participation went. There was also an additional $40 for those agreeing to come back for a debriefing once the experiment was over. Apparently, there would be some kind of big public reveal. But first, there was an orientation session. I read through the disclaimer and entered my personal information on their website. Some boilerplate stuff and nothing out of the ordinary. They even had a non-legalese, simplified version for me to read. Basically agreeing that they were entitled to the results of the experiment up until the point where and if I withdrew my consent. Also, some attesting to my state of mind and general mental health. Those are a must in many social experiments. At the first orientation session, I was put in a waiting room with 6 other people. I had seen some of them around campus. I think one of them was a computer science major. A preppy young man shook my hand and showed me to a private room. A small, windowless room with all yellow walls and a plastic table. The kind of table you usually keep outdoors that feels like it would collapse if you put too much weight on it. Very cheap overall. Thanks for coming, he said. Let's see what we're working with, alright. Alright, I nodded. I don't really know what to expect here. So you are Jessica Pennon, he said. I can see that you... There was a rush of adrenaline coursing through me. Revealing someone else's records was a big no-no. My left hand shot up like a flare, like my body was trying to physically silence them. No, I interrupted. No, that's not me. None of that, that's not me. The young man looked up slack-jawed, ping-ponging back and forth between me and his nose. He seemed to have completely lost his train of thought.
Some
Yeah, he smiled. Right. How embarrassing. He quickly found my notes and went through them. Name, age, address, family history, what I had signed up with on the form. It took about a minute, and he kept looking up at me apologetically, probably hoping that I would just forget about that stupid name drop. I had to wait 45 minutes before the first real session started. I was shown a second room, this one much larger, with this 70s style patterned wallpaper, a corner couch, and 2 massage chairs. That's when I first met Dr. Stanson formally. And Dr. Stanson had a fantastic track record. One of his most notable contributions was his field studies, what later became the overexposure therapeutic method. He was very proud of it, sporting an image where he posed with his co-writer, Dr. Jane Bogan, on the university website. And to meet Dr. Stanson in person was an absolute honor. There was just the two of us in that room, and having his full attention bear down on me was a bit overwhelming. This was a man who had been asking questions for 30 years, and now he was aiming them straight at me. But it all started with a handshake. "Thank you for coming," he smiled. "Please, have a seat." We had a bit of small talk about his past accomplishments and his study overall. He couldn't divulge too much information, not wanting to spoil the experiment, but he assured me that it was meant as a diagnostic tool. For what, he didn't say. He had a recorder in the room, but seemed to forget to switch it on. I got the impression that he wasn't really taking things seriously. "I'm going to ask you to do a simple hand movement," he said, "starting with your index fingers." He hooked his index fingers and put his elbows out. I mimicked his movement and he gave me a nod. "Next, try to interlock your ring fingers as well." I did, trying my best to get a tight grip. Finally, point your little fingers outwards. Their tips should be less than an inch apart, but they can't touch. "Can you do that?" It took a bit of trickery, but I could. It was an awkward pose to keep, and Dr. Stanson made some quick notes on his tablet. "Now, I want you to slowly start pulling. Not so much that it hurts, but enough for you to exert yourself." "All right." I started pulling. You can't really win in this pose, so you just sort of maintain a position. The pulling is just adding strain. There's no hand giving or losing ground. I need you to listen carefully. It was almost like hypnosis, and I can't remember his exact words. But in short, he wanted me to imagine the two hands separately. To imagine my left hand being connected to an unknown hand on the right, and to imagine my right hand being connected to an unknown hand on the left. Basically, to slowly separate my thoughts into left and right, but keeping them both contained in my head simultaneously. He used this vivid imagery. Two fish swimming in a bucket, neither touching the other, but feeling the current. Two birds in the night resting on the same branch, both feeling the weight of the other without seeing them. It was very poetic language, sounding very unacademic. Short break. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Let me just type this out. Granular. Granular. Top notch. Effervescent. Effervescent. The picking strange words helps. It must be unfamiliar. Uncomfortable. Odd. After a while, I could feel it taking hold. It became a struggle once I had disassociated my hands with one another. It didn't become a balancing act, but instead a competition. I could feel my left being frustrated by the dominance of my right. Finally, without even realizing it, my left hand was also pushing, using the thumb. That wasn't allowed, but I got so caught up in the moment. I was pressing down on a nerve on my right hand, actually causing myself pain. Not much, but I could feel it. Still part of me enjoyed it. I was winning. But the other side of me was frustrated because of the disregard to the established rules. And time stands in announced. Thank you very much for your participation. Yeah, I tried to let go, but neither hand wanted to quit. I had to mentally tell myself to stop. Both hands down and listen. How long has it been? I asked. About 10 minutes, smiled Stanton. I know, time flies. I couldn't believe it. It had felt like hours. As I left, another student stepped in to take my place. The young man in the reception wished me a good day and told me that we would keep in touch. I was a bit dumbfounded, feeling like I had been sort of just dropped. If there was to be a follow-up session, it would be in a couple of days. But until then, I had to deal with my feelings on my own. And my feelings at that point were complex. I didn't know what to feel, but I knew that I felt different. I drove back home and took the stairs up to my apartment, still flipping my car keys back and forth in my left hand. And then I heard a clatter. I saw the keys tumble down the stairs, but I didn't feel myself dropping them. I flexed my left hand a few times, but didn't feel any strange sensation. I walked back down the stairs, picking up my keys, and that was that.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI created.
Two similar incidents. Accidentally tapping too many times on my phone. Adding an extra vowel or two while writing. That kind of stuff. The worst was when my hand refused to let go of a glass of water, making me spill half of it all over my keyboard. Luckily, my nearby $180 textbook came away unscathed. I was called in for a second session. I was a bit relieved. I was eager to get a chance to talk to Dr. Stanton about what I had been experiencing, if only to hear whether it was normal or not. Maybe I was just imagining things. But Dr. Stanton wasn't there for the second session. Instead, I sat down with his assistants. One assistant stayed in the back taking notes. I tried asking them questions, but they kept repeating that I would get my chance to talk to Dr. Stanton at a later date, and that they were not at liberty to discuss the experiment as is. So, for the second session, they asked me to do the same movement. I interlocked my hands, listened, and got this sudden sense of unease bubbling up in my stomach, like I was doing something.
A Dominator has been generated for your team. Use it to commandeer a dinosaur and attack the enemies. Summoning raptors. Summoning pteranodons. Summoning a Carnotaurus. Summoning pteranodons.
Something immoral. It was the same kind of sensation you get when you're publicly naked in a dream, that you're exposed and vulnerable. I didn't like it, not one bit. And in that moment of uncertainty, just a few seconds into the session,
You are victorious.
my hand slammed down on the table, bruising the knuckle of my right index finger.
Analyze your data.
I shot out of the chair, clutching my hand. I bit down hard and swore, having pinched a nerve. I got this electric pain shooting right down the arch of my wrist. The assistants looked at me like they had seen a ghost. "Are you alright?" they asked. I don't know," I admitted. "I don't feel normal. I'm calling it off."
Behold, the best exo fighters in this war game.